Today we've got another exciting coin flip battle, and this time it's going to be Governor of Arkansas, Sarah Sanders, or sometimes she's known as Sarah Huckabee Sanders for the Republicans, up against U.S. Senator from Vermont, Bernie Sanders. So this might be a little silly, especially considering we're only doing this one because both of their last names are Sanders, but sometimes you need some downtime and a good distraction from regular politics. So this matchup is not 100% impossible. Bernie's been a candidate in the past, Sarah could be in the future. You've got somebody to root for or against on the quest to 270. So heads is for Sarah, tails is for Bernie. Let's start flipping some coins. We've got Alaska up first. Here comes the first flip. This is heads. That is going to go to Sarah Sanders. Next, it's going to be Hawaii. And we're looking at tails. Bernie, he's on the map. Let's go to the Evergreen State, Washington. 12 electoral votes, tails. Bernie with his second state, Oregon, is next. 8 votes, tails again. We've got a blue Washington, Oregon, and Hawaii. With a red Alaska, the map looks identical so far. Let's see what happens on California. 54 votes. Here comes the flip. Tails again. Bernie Sanders, he's got a blue West Coast and a massive lead. At some point, something different is going to happen. Let's find out if it happens on Nevada. This is a swing state. Let's see what happens. It's going to go red for Sarah Sanders. Next state, Idaho, 4 electoral votes. Tails, that one is going to go to Bernie Sanders. Next state, Utah, 6 electoral votes. It's tails. It's going to go to Sanders. That's Bernie Sanders. Next state, Arizona. 11 votes. Tails again. And looks like Nevada is going to be entirely surrounded in blue. So Sarah is down by 90. That's a lot of votes, but there's a long way to go. We've seen some great comebacks. Let's go to Big Sky Country. 4 EVs. Heads. Sanders. Sarah Sanders. She's into double digits. Wyoming. That's next. And the equality state is going to go to Bernie Sanders. He's now over 100. Colorado is next. 10 electoral votes, and that's going to go to Sarah next. New Mexico, 5 electoral votes. And that is tails. That is another one for Bernie Sanders. Next state, North Dakota. 3 EVs. Heads, that's going to go to Sarah. Next state, South Dakota. This is going to be another one for Sarah. She sweeps both Dakotas. Next, it's Nebraska at large. 2 votes in the Cornhusker State. Heads, Sarah Sanders, 3 in a row. Let's do Nebraska's first. That's going to go to Bernie. Next, Nebraska's second. 1 electoral vote. That's another one for Bernie. Now Nebraska's third. Tails, we've got Bernie sweeping every congressional district, but Sarah gets it at large. Next state, Kansas. Here comes 6 electoral votes. Tails for Bernie. Here comes Oklahoma, lucky 7. Sarah got to turn it around here. She needs heads, but it's tails. Bernie starting to pile it on. But next up, we've got Texas, 40 votes. That would take a big chunk out of Sarah's deficit. Let's do the flip. Here it is. Tails. Bernie Sanders now opens up a gigantic lead. He's at 163, Sarah at 31. This is either going to be a blowout or a historic comeback. Let's do Minnesota. 10 electoral votes. Tails. Bernie. He's relentless. Next, Iowa. 6 votes. Here comes the flip. Tails again. Bernie doing continuous damage. Next, we go south to Missouri. 10 votes. Who's going to get them? Tails. Bernie Sanders having a great night here. Next, Arkansas. Sarah Sanders, home state. She's got to win this one, right? Here's the flip. And she does get it. Sarah Sanders snaps out of it. She wakes up. She's got 6. Now she has to go on an immense streak here. Let's do Louisiana. Let's see if she can keep it going. Here's 8 votes. She's got it. That puts her at 45. Next, Wisconsin has 10 votes. And it's going to be heads. Sarah Sanders going on a mini streak here. Illinois is next. Who's going to take these 19 electoral votes? That's going to be Bernie Sanders. So Bernie wipes out all of Sarah's progress. Let's go to Michigan. 15 votes. Bernie also over 200. Heads, it's going to go to Sarah Sanders. Next, Indiana, 11 votes. This is heads again. So Sarah Sanders now at 81. She's still way in the hole. Let's do Kentucky, 8 votes. That is heads again, so another streak of 3 for Sarah Sanders. Tennessee is next, the volunteer state. Heads again, the streak continues. She's now at 100. I don't think Bernie is even breaking a sweat yet, though. Let's go to Mississippi in the deep south. You think Sarah Sanders would do well in this part of the country, but it's going to go to Bernie Sanders. He's getting 6 more. Next door, Alabama, 9 votes. Heads, it's going to Sarah. Next, Florida, 30 electoral votes. Sarah is still down by more than 100, so she's really hoping to put up heads. Let's do the flip. Here it is. That is heads. Just a little bit of breathing room here for Sarah Sanders. Now let's see how Bernie responds. We've got 16 votes waiting in Georgia. And that is heads again for Sarah Sanders. So a little bit of momentum here in the South for Sarah. Let's do South Carolina. Here comes 9 more. We're looking at heads. Another one for Sarah Sanders. She's slowly closing the gap, but it's still pretty big. Let's do North Carolina. 16 more votes. Heads again. Sarah Sanders all of a sudden staging some sort of a comeback. She's still down by 34. Let's jump up to Ohio. 17 votes here. Bernie Sanders has completely fallen asleep. Let's see if he can snap out of it. No, heads again. Sarah Sanders suddenly at 197 and within striking distance of Bernie Sanders. I thought this one was over after Texas, but it looks like it's just heating up. Let's do West Virginia. 4 electoral votes. That is heads again. Sarah Sanders. That is 7 states in a row. Very impressive stuff. Let's go to the northeast corner, Maine at large. 2 electoral votes. Bernie. He's got to get tails. He does. Bernie getting 2 more. Let's do Maine's first. Tails again. Bernie Sanders now back to back. Let's finish up Maine in the 2nd congressional district. Heads, that's going to go to Sarah Sanders. Next state, it's New Hampshire, 4 electoral votes. And that is tails for Bernie Sanders. Next state, it's his home state of Vermont. We've got 3 electoral votes. This should be a layup for Bernie. Let's do the flip. This is heads. Sarah Huckabee Sanders embarrasses Bernie Sanders on his home state, but Bernie still has the upper hand. However, that could all change here on New York. 28 electoral votes. If it's heads, Sarah Sanders is somehow going to be in the lead. Let's see if her surge continues. Here comes the flip. That is tails. Bernie Sanders picks up 28 more. Now he's at 249. So he regains his composure. He's now knocking on the door of 270. Let's do Massachusetts. 11 votes in the Bay State. Tails. Bernie Sanders now at 260. So the surge of Sarah Sanders looks like it might be over with. Let's do Connecticut now. 7 votes. Sarah got to put up heads, but it's tails. Bernie now, 267. He's 1 flip away from the White House. We've got Rhode Island next. 4 electoral votes. This'll do it. And that's it. Tails for Bernie Sanders. Just when it was getting interesting after West Virginia, Sarah Sanders totally collapses and Bernie finishes the job. Let's see how close this one finishes, though. Let's do New Jersey. 14 votes. Tails. Another one for Bernie. Here comes Delaware. 3 votes. Who's going to get them? Sarah Sanders. She's got 3 more. Next state, Maryland. 10 more. And that is heads for Sarah. Washington, D.C. is the next flip. Heads for Sarah Sanders. Next, it's going to be Pennsylvania. Here comes the flip. 19 votes. Heads for Sarah Sanders. Next, it's Virginia. That's the final flip. 13 votes at stake. Who is going to get them? Heads. Sarah Sanders, though, all of a sudden finishes really strong. Bernie Sanders wins it, though, with 285. We've got Sarah Sanders at 253. And look at all the red at this part of the country in the east and southeast. Sarah Sanders extremely dominant there in parts of the Midwest. But in the west, most of the Great Plains, Texas, and the Northeast, Bernie Sanders has the last laugh. So we almost saw an epic collapse from Bernie. Sarah nearly tied it up, but after New York, it was pretty much over. So not at all the landslide it looked like after Texas. Sarah Sanders comes up just short on a miraculous comeback, but she did give us a lot of excitement. So Bernie's got this one in the bag. Let me know in the comments, who were you pulling for in this battle? What did you think about that finish? And how about this crazy looking map? Let me know down below on your way out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.